right, welcome back to another video, guys. And in today's video, I really want to talk about the dating psychological abuse of the average male, because one thing I've realized from speaking to young men and working with young men and my own personal experience is we go through a lot of psychological abuse, as men, especially in the dating world. The abuse is unreal psychologically. I mean, there should be welfare checks for the psychological abuse of men, the average male in the dating world. But yeah, today's video, we got some good stuff that we're going to be talking about. So make sure that you're paying attention. For all the guys who typically sit in the back, lift your heads up, wake your asses up. We got a very important video. So before we jump into the video, though, let's talk about some quick updates. So yeah, man, I'm really loving the new style of videos. It's just much more sustainable. I talked about that in the past about how I kind of lost motivation with the talking head videos. I just didn't really like doing those videos. I just didn't like it. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I haven't really been able to figure it out, but I do like these new style of videos a lot, like a lot. I love it. So yeah, we're going to be keeping this up. A lot of you guys have been emailing me. I've been getting a lot of emails of you guys telling me how much you love the new videos, how much you love the content. A lot of you guys are really enjoying the videos. Now, don't forget, guys, if you want to support the channel, go ahead and subscribe to Patreon. If you want to support the channel, subscribe to Patreon. Oh, Jack, I love your videos, man. Okay, well, if you want to support, if you love my content so much, then go support. This ain't free, so go support on Patreon. You also get access to the Discord server, the community. I do post content sometimes on Patreon, but it's more of a support thing at this point. If you pay on my Patreon, if you support on Patreon, just know that you're supporting the channel. And actually, I'm going to be adding a shout out at the end of my videos to Patreon supporters. So that's coming soon. Another thing is that a lot of guys are like, oh, Jack, you're so negative, man. You're so negative, man. And I'm just like, dude, I've been on the front lines for years. I've been on the front lines in the trenches for years. I just came home from war. From 5, 6, 7 years in the battle, in the war. I'm missing a leg. One of my ears got blown off. I got hit in the face with a grenade. Listen, I've been through it. A lot of us older guys have been through it. This is why a lot of the older guys are more black pilled than any of the younger guys, because we've been through it. We really have. So nothing's negative. I'm just giving the truth. I'm giving the truth that I've learned being on the front lines. So yeah. So anyway, that's kind of it for the update. So now let's go ahead and jump into the video. So today I want to talk about the dating psychological abuse of the average male. Now, I talked about this in another video, the video where I talked about how, giving up on dating. I think that's the name of that video I made. And I talked about like the gray zone man. And the gray zone man is basically where essentially most men find themselves. If you're between a 5 and a 7, which is literally not 80% of guys, then you are probably quote unquote in the gray zone area. Now, I'm not talking about if you're like an athlete or something, or some type like special case. I'm talking about just your everyday Joe. Then you're a gray zone man, and the gray zone is very. It seems like a good place to be from like an incel or someone like that, but it's actually it's a lot of abuse. You deal with a lot of psychological abuse. You improve yourself. 1 to 2 points. Self-improvement, looks maxing. That stuff is only going to improve you about 1 to 2 points. So if you're a 4, you may be a 5 or 5.5 after, maybe a 6 if you're lucky. If you're a 5, you'll end up as a 6, 6.5 if you're lucky. But the gray zone is kind of like that almost good enough zone where you get some results. You're getting some matches, you're getting some pretty decently attractive women as well, but it just seems like there's always some issue with it. Like, you know, especially when it comes to the women who are like more on your level. Like, yeah, if you dumpster dive and, you know, get a woman who's way below you, you know, you don't really have any problems, right? But if you want a woman who's at your, like, equally at your level, or at least around your level, it's pretty much like pulling teeth. You know, you're going to deal with so many issues and headaches, and that's not normal. You know, a lot of people like to say, oh, that's normal. No, that's not normal. I've known plenty of people over the years who've never really had to think about, like, how to talk to a girl. What should I say? Like, there's plenty of people who've never ever had to think about this stuff. So it's something with guys like us, if we're being honest. It's something with guys, and I've already came to peace with this, that I'm not a neurotypical guy. I'm definitely a neurodivergent person. I can kind of fake it pretty well over the years. I've learned to kind of blend in, but, you know, you're kind of, like I said, you kind of get some results, but it's never like satisfying, because it always feels like pulling teeth. It never feels like you're being truly valued. You know, it's always like you got to kind of do the most in order to kind of close the deal. And it's not supposed to be that way. It should be smooth. You know, a woman is attracted to you. She's very attracted. She likes you, genuinely likes you. You're attracted to her, and things should be smooth. It's not supposed to be this like war zone battle, you know. You know, you may get some pretty decent results on Hinge. You may even get lucky sometimes and end up with a woman who's extremely attractive, or you think is extremely attractive, but it just seems like it never works out, you know. And so all this stuff can psychologically be a psychological hell. It's like a psychosis, because you're constantly trying to figure out, what is it? You're like, what is it? What is it? Like, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? Did I say something? Why did she ghost me? Why did like, you're just trying to diagnose the issue. But the truth is that the issue isn't really you. Unlike the sub 5 males who know without a shadow of doubt, like, it's over for me when it comes to dating, or at least they know they're going to have to, like, move on with life. They're kind of like forced to continue on with life, you know? Whereas with the gray zone, man, you're constantly like getting that carrot dangled. Like, you're like, oh, I almost had the girl of my dreams. I almost had blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, you kind of like keep that hope alive, right? Like, where you're like, okay, there's hope. I almost got it. I almost had the woman I want. And it's like, you'll end up wasting years of your life, you know, thousands of dollars wasted. And not just that, but the mental anguish. That's the worst part of it. The psychological torture of just going through the games, you know? And a lot of guys who don't have experience, talked about this before, how a lot of young guys, they're just trying to get experience. You know, well, not even experience. They're just trying to acquire validation. A lot of guys are just simply trying to acquire validation, but they haven't really thought far ahead. You know, they haven't really thought like, okay, all the games and just the psychological abuse, bro, that you go through as like a gray zone male. You know, constantly getting mixed signals, you know, being strung along only to like a woman say, oh, you know, it's not really working, or, you know, and the thing is that you, on some level deep inside, you realize that a lot of these women, they simply think they can do better than you, and they don't even have to be able to do better. It's just the fact that if a woman thinks she can do better, and then it kind of like, the treatment is just not good. You know, it's just not a good place to be. And women know potentially, it's just the potentiality. It's not even about the likelihood or the possibility. When women know they potentially have better options than you, it's just not, you're just not going to get the treatment that you deserve, you know? And most people aren't self-aware enough to actually see reality clearly. You know, then they're not able to like perceive reality for what it is, you know? So many times you're going to be dealing with women who have probably dealt with better men who are better than you in some way. And that's another thing. It's almost like tiers, right? Like, if you're like a gray zone guy, it's almost like Mr. Tryhard. It's kind of like the guy who tries his best to be like the star of the football team, but he just doesn't have it. Like he just doesn't have it. Almost, but just not quite there. And it sucks versus the guy who's like bench, who just rides the bench all year. The guy with like a little bit of potential is like the worst place to be, because you never really get that closure that you need to know that, like, okay, it's time to move on with my life. It's almost like, okay, maybe I should go back to dating. Maybe I should keep my hope alive. Maybe I shouldn't. Okay, look, that girl looked at me. Okay, maybe that's a sign. Maybe I'm the exception to the rule. And this is something that a lot of guys need to get over. So many guys think they're the exception to the rule. You listening right now, you probably think you're the exception to the rule. I know you do. A lot of guys think they're going to be the exception. All those guys who talk, that guy jacked and stacked, I'm going to be the exception. No, you're not. 5 years later, you're going to be right back here with us. That's facts. So yeah, man, like when a woman views you as above average, but not at the top of what she thinks she's capable of getting already, or what she has gotten in the past, you're going to struggle. You're constantly going to get that carrot dangled. Many guys just kind of find themselves stuck in this cycle. They kind of like, for years, you're stuck in this cycle. Okay. You know what, man? I'm gonna give up on dating, man. I'm gonna go live my life and just live for me. And then they get that carrot. Here you go. Here you go. Like a little dog. And here they come running again. They come running for the fucking treat again. And then they snatch it away and send you back with your tail between your legs. And it's like this endless cycle, So I've come to the conclusion over the years that it's pretty much bang or bust, when it comes to dating. And, and when I say dating, like, it doesn't mean that you can't get a girlfriend or you can't. What I'm saying is getting your values worth for all the work, the self-improvement, all the mental masturbation, all the thinking, the psychological issues, all the pain, staying up late at night trying to figure out what to text back, watching dating videos. Think about that, guys. Thousands of hours, bro. That's what I mean. Where there's people out there who don't have to do this, and I've seen it. And these people aren't necessarily like Chads. It's something with, like, especially if you're like a black guy, if you're a black male and you're not like, and you're like high IQ, well-to-do. I'm not saying that you can't get black women. I get a gang of black women who match with me on dating apps. In fact, I actually have one of the girls I'm dating right now is a black. So it's not like you can't get. What I'm saying is that you're going to struggle more, especially if you date interracially. You can't help what you like. Some of us just like white women. Some of you like Asian women. You can't help that, and you shouldn't be. Like, you shouldn't be gaslit to think that, like, oh, it's your fault because, see, you want Asian women, that's why you struggle. You need to go get your own women. It's like people can't help what they like, But yeah, as a black male, you're pretty much going to struggle. You're viewed as, I know people like to say, oh no, black men ain't at the bottom. You're kind of treated like that in a way. Like, white women inherently know that they are better than you. I know that sounds fucked up, but it's true. And not all white women. Like, I've dealt with some like really cool white women, who don't really see race. Like, I have dealt with some white women who, it's almost like they don't even see you as being black, like they don't. But you can tell with a lot of white girls that they do at some level think they're better than you and like a little bit entitled. Like, it's hard to explain. A lot of you guys will know what I'm saying when I say this, but that happens with a lot of white women, especially like American white women. It's almost like they kind of feel like they're doing you a favor or something like that. It's very weird, kind of like condescending tones. They talk to you in a way of like, it's almost like they talk to you in such a way where they don't expect you to be intelligent. I know that sounds kind of fucked up, but again, I have dealt with some really cool white women. Like, I've dealt with like maybe like 2 or 3 who are like just super cool. And these women typically were from like smaller towns, and they were just cool women. It was almost like they didn't even see your race as like a factor. You know what I mean? So it's possible, but, for all the self-improvement, all the mental, self-improvement, oh, I'm going to self-improve, all the mental drainage, the games, it just really chews you up and spit you out, man, especially as like a gray zone guy. If you're between like that 4 and 7 range, that, and you don't have, and there's nothing like exceptional about you if you're pretty short. Like I'm 5'7", 5'8". I'm like 5'7.5", between 5'7". A lot of you guys are like, oh man, you said you're 5'8". Dude, it doesn't, listen, 5'7", 5'8", who gives a fuck? Same shit. But yeah, especially if you're like shorter, on the shorter side, and there's just nothing like spectacular about you, especially like, as a black guy, if you're tall, that helps a lot. I know a lot of people don't like agree with that. I'm not saying that you can be ugly and look like an ogre and be tall, but no, like you still gotta have a decent face. But height for black men, physicality is very, very important. But if there's nothing exceptional about you and you're a gray zone guy, you're just one of the many. I did a video yesterday about how the data on just how many dudes are out there, how many single men. It's just so many of us, who are successful, who go to the gym, you know. And this is why you must give up hope. This is why I think the gray zone man, you must give up hope. Or, maybe you get like a cool girlfriend and you get out the game. Maybe you find solutions. Maybe you get out the game, But just trying to date and try to you're trying to become like this player who you're trying to get validation to make you feel psychologically whole. And it's just not going to happen, You're better off just trying to meet a cool chick and kind of getting out the game, But give up hope, give up hope. And what I mean by that is give up the expectation that one day it'll all pay off, bro. And I see so many guys kind of have this attitude where one day it'll all pay off. No, it probably won't all pay off. If you're going to self-improve and better yourself, you really got to be doing it for yourself. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but it's facts. You really got to do it for yourself, Again, I'm not saying that you can't get a woman or you can't get laid, but I know a lot of times I'm talking about women who are equal or at least decent for what you are, for your own value. It's like a good deal, like it's just not like a dumpster, like you're just getting scraps from the table for all this effort and all this work and all this the things you do to make yourself a valuable man, only to get scraps from the table, So in order to get that, it's almost like you need all the infinity stones. It's almost like you got to be like almost like the damn near perfect guy, the height, the looks, the success, like the body. It's almost like, it's crazy, it really is crazy. And in order to get that true, genuine attraction and, a woman who like truly likes you, you need all the infinity stones for the most part, And like I said, I'm not saying that it's impossible. Like it's a numbers game at the end of the day. Like I've met women, even though like I'm not like an exceptionally special, handsome, or attractive, tall guy, I've met plenty of women who has genuinely liked me, but it's like you go through so much bullshit, and the women who do genuinely like you, you got to like actually capitalize on that. That's what I want to point out to the gray zone man. A lot of gray zone men will go back and think they can do better. Okay, well, I got her, so maybe I can do better. But sometimes you got to count your blessings. When a good woman comes along and who's matches what you like, what you need, and she's a cool chick who genuinely likes you, you got to count your blessings, bro. Sometimes you got to count your blessings. Don't always think the grass is greener and go back in the game. I made this mistake several times where I thought, okay, maybe I could trade up. So men are kind of hypergamous too, actually, in a way. Men, we kind of do that same thing where we think, okay, maybe I can trade up, maybe I can do better. So very interesting observation there. But I just think what most guys want is a woman who they're genuinely attracted to, a woman they're proud to be with and be seen with, who's also genuinely attracted to them. So yeah, man, it's like basically if you're in that gray zone, it's kind of like you're stuck in this kind of like psychosis where you're like never good enough. And that's kind of like the issue with the gray zone man. And I think many black men find themselves in the gray zone area. They tell you, well, keep improving your charisma, bro. Keep improving your social skills, man. Maybe it's and you're just constantly trying to diagnose what could be wrong, And that's the thing about hope. Hope forces false expectations. This is why I say give up hope. I'm not saying give up optimism. Like there's possibilities, but I'm saying give up that hope that, one day it's all going to pay off, bro. It forces false expectations, like I said, but the gray zone man gets psychologically screwed basically when it comes to dating, dealing with the mind games, the issues, the constant gaslighting, trying to figure out what it is. Is it me? Did I say something? Did I do something? You really start to kind of like question reality, and it could drive you mad. It really can. It can really fuck with your mental health. And it's just mental abuse. That's really what it is. It's just mental abuse. And you just start to question your sanity, dealing with the hot and cold nature, of almost being good enough, but you're just not quite there, Gray zone, psychologically, I think he's more fucked than the incel psychologically. And I'm not trying to negate the fact that you can't get anything. I know how that feels to not be able to get, any type of companionship. So I'm not saying it's better, but the gray zone man really gets fucked, and this is why I think most young guys are making the mistake of kind of like only focusing on the acquisition of validation. They only focus on like acquiring the validation, So what's the solution? Like I always tell you guys, there's really not any solutions. Like sometimes some problems in life, there's just not solutions for some problems in life. However, I do have some suggestions to make your plight a little bit more bearable. One of these is the pursuit of happiness is not the same as the pursuit of women. Again, I'm going to read that again. The pursuit of happiness is not the same as the pursuit of women. The next one is, my next suggestion is to give up on dating. And what I mean by that is stop continuously spinning your wheels and hoping, just do your best and, keep your options open, keep your doors open, but give up on that chase, give up on the necessity of needing a woman to complete you, to make you feel happy. Get clear about it. What is it that you're really after actually? Like, what is it? Why do you keep going back to the dating? Like, what is it you're trying to get from dating? Understand that. Detach your identity from dating, from your dating results. That's another suggestion. Develop a self-sufficient ego. Develop a self-sufficient ego where, again, you don't really need the validation from women to make you psychologically whole. Otherwise, it just makes you a slave. You got to develop your self-esteem detached from your dating results, right? Cultivate self-love and your inner voice. Peel the onion. Find your authentic voice. I talked about that in one of my previous videos. Peel the onion, Develop a compassion for yourself. Honestly assess yourself. Get to know yourself. And be honest with yourself. Accurately assess where it is you stand based off the results you get. The market won't lie. The market will tell you where you stand. Make peace. Make peace with with your fate. Make peace with your flaws, with where you stand. Make peace with that. Unconditionally accept everything about yourself, the flaws and all. That's how you love yourself. You got to cultivate good love. Otherwise, you're going to get fucked, guys. I'm going to be honest. You're done. You're done. Unless you can cultivate all these things I just talked about, you're fucked. So you must develop a self-love for yourself that is not based on performance. So much as men, we're taught to base our self-love on performance. And I actually think that's why men suffer from low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, because we're basing so much of our self-love on performance. But I say base your self-love on being a human being, as you being a unique person who exists only in this one bleak of time that we have right now. You're one in a billion. So love yourself for that, for who you are, for being alive. Be okay being a nobody. Be okay not being a player, not being famous. Be okay. Accept your plight. Accept your lot in life. It doesn't mean don't get better, but, this is some of the things you got to do. Now, obviously, these things are deeper than just, me saying them. I probably got to make more videos on these, but just some suggestions, just to kind of something to get your mind going. But anyway, that is it for today's video, guys. I will catch you in the next one.